Rev up your engines! Today, by popular demand, I'm going to talk about 5 cars that they should import to the United States that they don't yet. Now, I have fans all over the world that drive some of these cars, and some even in the United States that imported them into the country. So here's the first one on my list. It's the MG ZS. It's a compact SUV. Now, of course, if you know anything about history, MG stands for Morris Garages. Back when these old Volkswagens were being made, they made cute little sports cars, MGBs. But everybody that I knew that knew about cars back then said, hey, if only they could make an English sports car that had a Japanese engine and transmission that didn't break all the time. Well, back in 2007, a Chinese company, Nanjing, they brought out an MG sports car. Now, it wasn't Japanese, it was Chinese, and they really ended up not being all that popular. They don't make the sports cars anymore. But then another Chinese company took over the MG brand. It's called SAIC, S-A-I-C. And it's probably the largest car manufacturer that most people have never heard of. SAIC Motor Company in China presently makes 23% of the world's cars. So they make a lot of cars. They got deals going with all kinds of different companies. And this MG little SUV, compact SUV, is an excellent vehicle, especially at the price. An SUV that starts at $18,900. Well, I say starts, you can't buy them in the United States yet. They are bringing them into Europe starting at the end of 2019, and I assume that they'll probably bring them to the United States unless there's some kind of tariff going on. The next vehicle that I wish they'd import in the United States is the Toyota Hilux. The Hiluxes are known worldwide. You should even see the Taliban riding around in those things. They are solid built trucks. They've always been built with body on frame, body on a solid steel frame. Makes them really solid. And since they are a smaller size vehicle, they're not all that bad on gas mileage. In this respect, they are similar to the old Toyota Tacomas when they were the little bitty pickups like the one I got for my son. Were smaller pickups, but they're indestructible if you take care of them just a little bit. Hiluxes come in various configurations. You can get 4-wheel drive ones. They are so popular all over the world. And of course, worldwide, they have diesel engines in them, so you can get lots of different setups in them. The modern day kind of poo-pooing on diesels. I doubt if Toyota is going to do something like that because everybody seems to be going away from diesels, not towards them, especially in smaller vehicles. I can't see them going away from diesels in big, gigantic 18-wheeler trucks because just the advantage of having a diesel engine that can pull all that stuff and get decent gas mileage pulling all that weight. I doubt they're going to be switching to gasoline engines and those things anytime soon. Now, the next vehicle I wish they'd import in the United States is the Holden HSV Maloo. They're kind of like an El Camino on steroids. Now, yes, Holden doesn't exist anymore. The company went bankrupt. They couldn't take the competition on them. But check this thing out. They were pretty cool looking vehicles. Their 6-speed standard transmissions were smooth. And if you didn't have weight in the back, they actually rode quite well and took bumps pretty good. As an option, you could get 6 piston brake calipers so they stopped really well. Hey, they were fun little muscle cars to drive around. And yeah, they were screamers, but if you've ever driven one, they were really fun vehicles. I'd love to get my hands on one. So if there's anyone in Australia that wants to send me one, hey, feel free. Now, the next vehicle I wish they imported that they don't is the Toyota Coaster. Yes, like roller coaster. The Toyota Coaster is a single level minibus. If you need a small bus, boy, that'd be the one to get. They're now in their 4th generation, and interestingly enough, Toyota put the Coaster out as a hybrid vehicle option even before they started selling their Toyota Priuses. There's even an LPG, a liquefied petroleum gas version, that they made exclusively for Hong Kong to help with the air pollution problems there. They sell these coaster buses all over the world. Very dependable. So if you really wanted a nice bus, maybe you'd buy one and import it from one of the countries where they sell them. Now, the last of these 5 cars I wish they sold in America is the Nissan Daze. If you want a micro car. It is a very good one. From what my Asian friends tell me, the ones that live in Asia and own them, they beat the heck out of those crappy little smart cars. They're tons better than those horrible Fiat 500s. Now sure, it's a micro car, but it's got a lot of things on it that make it a pretty good micro car, because realize in Asia the cost of things are more, there's not much room, so they're making their micro cars a lot more luxurious than the stuff that they start selling in the United States. They have all kinds of intelligent design in it for lane departure, emergency stopping. They got a lot of technology in these things. And for a car that size, they're pretty spacious inside, both the cabin and the storage area. Yeah, you know, they're not going to carry what an old Lincoln Continental would in the boot, but for their size, they took really good advantage of the design to make them roomy. They've changed the shock absorbing system so it rides better. They have a lot of noise insulation on them so they're quieter inside. Because hey, nobody wants to be riding around in a little rattle trap like an old breaking down washing machine. And they're available in 17 colors, so you can't whine it. You can't get it in the color that you want. And yeah, it's a Nissan, but when you get into these micro cars, they have a lot less problems than the macro cars, the bigger ones, because they weigh so much less. So there's so much less strain on them. They got smaller engines, so they can actually last a lot longer than the bigger ones that are straining parts like the notoriously horrid Jatco transmissions. The smaller a vehicle is, the less likely strains are going to wear it out. So now you know 5 vehicles that might be a good idea to import in the United States. Although, Scotty, hey, I'm not going to be buying any car soon. My old 94 Celica still runs perfectly fine. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.